Hello everyone. This may surprise some of you, but I'm actually a bit of a Doctor Who fan. So what do you say we bring this episode into the 21st century? The original version just showed Billy standing on the TARDIS console, but then, like the famed explorers discovering the lost city of Castrovalva, Cliff decided to cut costs by filming this on an unused Doctor Who set.
I'll explain later.
Behold! My entire understanding of physical space has been transformed!
Why would they lie? Why would they do that?
I started to imagine an alien invasion story where the UFOs would put on Santa suits to blend into society and catch us humans off guard. And then I realized that that's already a Doctor Who Christmas special.
Santa's a robot!
So much for machine learning.
If only there was a way to combine both of my interests. Doctor Who has had some brushes with popular music over the years, but they've never produced a music video. God, if only some annoyingly prominent Who fans of the 1980s had produced an absolutely awful music video in a desperate bid to keep the show on the air. What? What?
What?
Doctor Who is to take a rest. The BBC announced today that the Time Lord, who's been on our screens for some 22 years now, will be off the air for 18 months.
In 1985, popular BBC sci-fi show Doctor Who was on the verge of cancellation. The show's ratings had been stagnating, and head of the BBC Michael Grade had put it on the chopping block. Officially, it was on an 18-month hiatus, but the writing was on the wall.
Doctor, when I was running, already, but you've only said 2 words, but already people are against whatever you're going to say. I knew I was in trouble. I saw the hush puppies and the national health glasses.
But Doctor Who fans are, let's say, dedicated, and plans to save the show were immediately hatched. Gary Downey, producing partner of series producer John Nathan Turner, had a brilliant idea: create a We Are the World style charity single aimed at saving the show. He contacted Northern Soul producer and Doctor Who superfan Ian LaVine to produce the track. LaVine had been involved in the music industry for a number of years, as well as stumbling into being one of the most important figures in Doctor Who history. You see, the home media landscape of the early 60s was, to put it mildly, very limited. So the BBC really didn't care about preserving its programs once they aired. They might rerun them a few times, but generally once they aired, that was that.
Yeah, well, I saw it on a rerun.
What's a rerun?
Everything was recorded on videotape at the time, and it was extremely expensive to produce. So the Beeb, in all of its infinite wisdom, decided, who wants a copy of this old space show anyway? Let's just erase it and reuse the tapes. No one will miss these.
Get them to say something incriminating on this tape.
Hootie and the Blowfish?
Yeah, it's cheaper than blank tape.
Luckily, some intrepid young nerds at home just so happened to be recording the show's audio, preserving the wonderful cheesiness for generations to come. One of these space pirates was Ian LaVine, who turned in both audio and film recordings to help reconstruct missing episodes. So of course, Gary Downey decided he needs to save this show again.
Doctor in Distress was conceived by Gary Downey in a drunken moment when it's like, oh, John, why don't we make a Live Aid kind of charity record? And John, his eyes lit up. He goes, oh, what a wonderful idea. He goes, Evil Annie, you'll do it. So Evil Annie was an anagram of Ian LaVine, which he used to call me.
LaVine and co-writer Fiatra Trench created a 3-minute song cataloging the entire history of Doctor Who.
It was co-written with someone called Fiacre Trench, who was apparently quite a talented composer, but unfortunately his muse had deserted him that day, I think.
They scraped together several musicians, including members of British pop bands Bucks Fizz, Time UK, and the Moody Blues. Together, along with series stars Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, Anthony Ainley, and Nicholas Courtney, they formed the supergroup Who Cares, which may be the most prophetic band name of all time. We begin on a ghostly, ethereal image of the then-current 6th Doctor, Colin Baker. It fades into a parade of musical notes floating past the Earth, and then the madness truly begins. Doesn't it look like this guy is wearing Mickey Mouse ears? I swear he is. Hopefully the new Disney deal means he won't get in trouble for it. Hey, how do satellites work? Oh, thank you. It really looks like they bought the cheapest various space objects graphics package they could find.
There were evil magical creatures who tried to exterminate.
Why didn't people like Colin? It's a gosh darn mystery.
I was only trying to cheer you up. One of your primitive American verse makers?
No, this isn't the lead singer of the Human League, I promise. Whoa, they did a flip. This looks like the intro graphic to a D-rate VHS distributor. If only the major computer manufacturers chose to market their products like this. Probably not a great vote of confidence for Colin that the lyric here reads, "We've learned to accept 6 Doctors." That's faint praise if I've ever heard it. It's really, yeah, I guess he's grown on me. Also, from this angle, they look like horns. What was up with British headphones in the 80s?
They didn't run, they didn't hide.
Actually, there was an awful lot of running. Poor Nicholas Courtney and Anthony Ainley. They do not look happy about being there. You know that they did 2 takes of this max and pieced out the second they could. Make sure you show them the exact note process. Yes, as they're doing it. No, Colin, why would you want to hear this better? This video is apparently owned by Tropicana Holdings. Yep, orange juice and awful novelty songs. Although, who am I to talk? Longtime viewers may remember that our first few episodes were actually owned by Ocean Spray.
My biggest regret of that period was that I allowed myself to be drawn into doing that rather strange record about saving the Doctor. I was leaned on very heavily, and I wish I had been stronger.
The show did eventually come back in September of 1986 for the ill-received 23rd season plotline, The Trial of a Time Lord. The Doctor has to endure a sham trial by a mysterious fellow Time Lord named the Valeyard, and the entire season filters through this frame story. Shockingly, a serial of space legal proceedings wasn't what fans signed up for.
Do you wish to say anything before the inquiry proceeds?
Only that this whole thing is a farce.
The show would return for season 24, but Colin Baker would not. He was swiftly fired from the show, the only such Doctor to leave against his own accord. Sylvester McCoy was brought on to film his regeneration scene, and would last until the cancellation of the show in 1989. After a false start in the 90s, the show truly restarted in 2005, and has been going strong ever since. The video was directed by Keith Barnfather of Real Time Pictures, a film production company that specialized in Doctor Who related projects, including documentaries and spin-off video dramas. Some of these are less than high quality.
Why must I go first?
Because that is the way it works. First in, first out, pal. Now go!
Producers promised that any proceeds from sales of the single would go to the British charity Cancer Research. However, the single sold so poorly that it didn't even recoup its production costs, and the song lost its one potentially redeeming quality.
It wasn't even a hit. And it was so awful with all that publicity. It was so awful. It only sold 40,000 copies.
It also makes me wonder whether or not Doctor Who magazine ever followed up on their contest, wherein the person writing the best new Doctor Who theme could win a free Doctor in Distress single. They announced the winners a few issues later, and hold on a second, that's just not possible. Computer, zoom and enhance.
It doesn't seem to have much to it. It hasn't improved that much since it went off the air. It could have been a lot better. It could have been slightly better written, especially the last story.
If I could get hold of this Roger Barrett, I think I'd just grab hold of him by the scruff of his neck and choke him until I found out why he'd misled everybody. What kind of idiot does he take us all for? I wish I could get hold of him.
Ian LaVine is seen as a somewhat controversial figure in the Doctor Who fandom. On the one hand, he saved a bunch of early episodes from complete destruction. On the other hand, that's pretty much the only thing people like him for. He basically strong-armed a continuity consultant position on the 20th anniversary special, a job he was already bad at. He got reprimanded in front of journalists for trying to get executive producer Russell T Davies to spoil Torchwood details. He yelled at a 12-year-old for not convincing his grandma to spend £100 on a weird AI-animated episode reconstruction, and he got so mad at the prospect of a woman playing the Doctor that he threatened to quit watching the show. Oh, and I know this isn't the worst thing on this list, but I just think it's funny. He and Trench also wrote the awful theme song for the failed 80s spin-off K9 & Company. As LaVine put it, it was an absolute balls-up fiasco. It was pathetic and bad and stupid. It tried to tell the Doctor Who history in an awful high-energy song. It almost ruined me. That raises the question, does Ian LaVine currently have a career that's above ruination? Because I don't know how many copies of this he's realistically expecting to sell.
I've hated it since I did it. It's the worst embarrassment. I cannot believe I was involved in it. I cannot believe I let myself do it. And God, I hate it. Every time I want to take a joke on me, every time I say something of comment on Gallifrey Base, someone says, "This coming from the man who brought us Doctor in Distress."
Trust me, Ian, after looking at this list, I think you'd much rather be known as the Doctor in Distress guy. I'm just eternally grateful that the fate of the show that I love so much did not rest squarely on the shoulders of Doctor in Distress, because there's absolutely no way that this would have swayed the BBC. It's also a strange coincidence that the show was again in danger of cancellation. Luckily, we didn't need a pop song to save our favorite Time Lord. All we needed was the reboot's original showrunner to do a mega rewatch during COVID lockdowns, get nostalgic for his time on the show, decide to step up to replace the outgoing showrunner as he was leaving, and convince a fan favorite actor to return to the iconic role in a series of specials.
It's almost too easy.
Great news for anyone worried about the future of the planet. After a period of invisibility, Doctor Who is back, or will be at Easter. The present chairman of the BBC, foolish man, thought he killed him off.
And just think, if it had never returned, we would never have gotten moments like this.
I am a human Dalek.
What's browser history?
Oh, what's the matter? Have you given up so soon? The bingle bongle dingle dangle, yickety doo, yickety da, ping pong, lippy tappy too-ta.
My own form is endless, but this frog is a form that delights me.
Detox. Oh, ma.
Next up, Bad Music Video Theatre takes a look at the November Rain music video. And then later, will Chris ever cover the K9 & Company pilot? All this and more, BMVT 1.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Bad Music Video Theatre YouTube channel.
Interestingly enough, as bad as the record was, the music was all done by Hans Zimmer. And Hans Zimmer's won 3 Oscars, so we had a lot of talent making a very, very crap record on that day.